Welcome to the newest installment of the Untitled Film Nerd Project. My name is Philip, and joining me as always is TJ.
Hello.
And today we watched Boys in the Trees. Before we go any farther, spoiler warning now. Because, that's what we do. Alright, per usual, before we get into the meat of the movie, go ahead and do the cast and crew rundown real fast. This was directed by Nicholas Verso, who hasn't really done much.
Yeah, I think this was his first feature-length film,
Yep.
and I believe I read somewhere that this might be a sort of follow-up to a short that he had done.
Yeah, the short was called The Last Time I Saw Richard,
Mm-hmm.
who also has a character named Jonah in it.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonah was actually played by the guy that played Corey.
Okay.
Yeah, this was supposed to be like a kind of a direct follow-up to the Jonah story.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I read, Corey grew too much in between the movies, so we had to recast Jonah.
Okay.
Speaking of, Jonah was played by Gulliver McGrath, who has been in quite a few things, actually, for his young age. He's been in The Loved Ones, Hugo, Dark Shadows, Lincoln, and The Voices.
Okay. I know Loved Ones is one that I've been wanting to see.
I've been putting that one off, too, much like this one. But yes, we'll have to watch it eventually, because it's supposed to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Corey was played by Toby Wallace, and he's been in a lot of Australian movies. By the way, everyone, this is an Australian movie, so I really didn't recognize him from anything. So off the bat, TJ says, we're going to watch a movie that's not going to be super fucking, weighty and not going to be a difficult movie to watch. Can we please watch a movie that doesn't, just emotionally, just beat me down? We had Mother, then we had Sacred Deer, and now this. We got to the end of this. Okay, this movie is called Boys in the Trees, a.k.a. Australian Philip Goes to High School.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, this was, other than him not getting beaten up as much as I did, this was very much a blueprint for what it was like for me to go to high school. By the end of the movie, now I wasn't weeping, but I had tears in my eyes.
Oh, I was weeping.
Because I was just like, ugh, and I was like, God damn it, TJ.
We'll go for a horror comedy next time.
God damn it. Fuck. This is a really fucking good movie. But it was a really hard movie to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you grew up being teased, picked on, beaten up. It hits home.
Mm-hmm.
It felt real. The star of the show was Jonah.
Mm-hmm.
Star of the movie, rather, was Jonah. Gulliver McGrath, nailed, he made the movie what it was.
Yeah.
He was cast perfectly. Everyone else is cast well, too, including the guy called 3C, CCC, Cliche Closet Case.
Which one was that?
Who's the only one in the movie that was a cliche closet case?
What was his name?
Django.
Django, yeah.
Yeah. Cliche closet case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even in the beginning, I sent you a message being like, this is kind of turning out to be what I was afraid it was going to be and why I put it off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the payoff we got wasn't as, I guess, satisfying in any way. It was actually very fucking sad. But still, bravo by the director, and this was not what I expected in a good and bad way.
Mm-hmm.
It was well done, well told, well acted, well shot.
Yeah, very well shot.
There's just the lighting in this movie is stellar.
Mm-hmm.
Music. The soundtrack was fucking amazing.
Yeah, excellent choice for, this is set in, 1994?
Yeah, I think in 95, I think.
Yeah,
around there.
and way to pick excellent songs to, show that.
We had Rammstein, Marilyn Manson, Gary Newman, Garbage.
Mm-hmm. Bush.
I wasn't really a guy. I wasn't really into Bush that much, so. Ha! Jokes. I got jokes. We need jokes after this third fucking movie that is making me have tears in my eyes. God damn it, TJ. It's also what this movie is called. It's God damn it, TJ. It was, I mean, in a word, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
The story was beautiful. The way it was told was beautiful. And even the ending, while I'm pretty sure you, since you're better at me at picking up the twists, I'm sure you saw it
Mm-hmm.
coming.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it coming as well, believe it or not. But there was a few different ways it could have went
Mm-hmm.
because I thought they were foreshadowing. And but yeah, it ended like I originally thought it was going. It was I didn't want it to end that way, much like
Mm-hmm.
Sacred Deer. It didn't want to end that way, and it did. And um, so we haven't gotten too spoilery yet, really. So for those who haven't seen it, major spoilers coming very soon. The gist is that these two friends, Jonah and Corey, used to be really good friends as kids, but as they grew up, they kind of grew apart. With Jonah being the outcast, one that's picked on, and Corey wanting to be cool, so he like fit in with the cool, sort of cool kids, I guess. And then that story kind of just goes from there, where the group that Corey runs with has this like very like a cliche closet case,
Mm-hmm.
who is a control freak, has to have everything his way, and is possibly in love with Corey,
Mm-hmm.
and they pick on Jonah seemingly all the time, and that's where the movie kind of picks up. Corey branches off from the group, finds Jonah, but then like uh, Jonah hurts himself because he got startled, which was
Mm-hmm.
major spoiler coming, foreshadowing. And then Jonah says, "You have to walk me home." And then they decide to play this game. They played as kids called, what was it? Kakaitis?
Crossing the river of Cocytus.
Kakaitis. Yes, yes, yes. That's it. So they're playing Kakaitis
Mm-hmm.
on the way home, and then it pretty much just goes from there. At first, it felt kind of like an anthology disguised as a movie, like a regular
Yeah.
movie, which I
Mm-hmm.
liked. I liked the little anthology bits. What ended up being was more foreshadowing
Yeah.
for. Go ahead.
To me, all of that and how it played out kind of reminded me of like a Halloween version of A Christmas Carol, where,
Hmm.
each one of the stories are kind of telling a parable of what the overall story
Okay.
arc is
Yeah.
going to be.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was really just written very cleverly,
Yes.
cleverly, cleverly written.
Well, like for starters, we can go through the different stories.
Okay. Go ahead.
There was the two sisters
Mm-hmm.
who grew further apart, which
Mm-hmm.
ended in the death of the younger sister,
Right. Right.
and which is basically their past.
Mm-hmm.
The story of the child who forgot his dreams,
Train.
and
Hold on. One sec. Train
okay.
incoming. So train notice right now. Look at the train graphic and appreciate the train noise. Go ahead.
But yeah, the child that had forgotten his dreams and just kind of set them aside and just let life take over, and he just sits there until he dies.
Yep.
The next story was the school, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and which is about, the boys turning into monsters
Mm-hmm.
as they grow up. And we're just basically getting Jonah's perspective
Yeah. Yep.
of life and basically what Corey had become to him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another story I'm forgetting, isn't there?
Uh, is there?
Maybe not.
I remember because after they left the school, that's where that story was.
Yeah,
Um,
they went to the gas station where
yeah,
the love it.
I think it was linear from then. I think they just went from the gas station to the girl's house later
Hmm.
to the tree to
Yes,
the
which
end.
the tree was a nice shot.
Yeah, it was really cool. I like that. Like being someone that is very much like my as I don't know if you probably know this because I've said this to you, but my motto is grow but never grow up.
Uh-huh.
Everything they were saying in this movie just like resonated with me.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. Like my favorite was couple. I liked the what they were telling with the kid who locked his dreams away
Hmm.
and then just became like a shell waiting to die.
Hmm.
Because that's why I see a lot of adults.
Hmm.
This is coming from someone who like legitimately uses his imagination at least once a day in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never stopped. But I really the story of the in the school of like the wolves and the sheep and and can we just touch on I loved the Red Riding Hood walking with the wolf back
Yes.
to grandma's house kind of thing.
Yes.
Loved that. Thought that was really cool. But yeah, that one really because that was so well like it really put into a good like bow like what it was like growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he said like they could he could smell the difference and for those who don't I guess develop as fast and whatnot, you become prey.
And then the beast noticed certain things about the prey, such as you got a haircut or the shoes that you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so much of that is true.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I guess like especially if like this might not affect people as much if they had a charmed high school upbringing. It just spoke to me on more than one level, on the level of not wanting to grow up, and on the level of what it was like to try and merge into adulthood,
Mm-hmm.
being who I was, and trying to figure out why everyone had like a bullseye on me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I really, really connected with the Jonah character like 110%.
Yeah.
And I also gotta say, not only did Jonah carry the movie, Gulliver, his delivery was so good.
Oh, yeah, the facial expressions that he would
Yeah,
make.
like just he had like I wrote a lot of quotes down because
Mm-hmm.
he just had such good one-liners given to him, and he delivered them so perfectly.
Yeah.
I was like, he was just perfectly cast, just perfectly cast.
To me, one of the most impactful moments to me that I just absolutely loved
Mm-hmm.
was the funeral scene.
Yes, that was really nice.
First of all, just the Spanish funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Loved how all that looked.
Mm-hmm.
But then the death character seeing lightning crashes.
Yes, yes, Mr. White Suit.
That, like, I got chills
Yeah.
from how impactful using that portion of the song
Mm-hmm.
was to the overall movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Mr. White Suit did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard to. I don't know. I can't say put into words. We haven't put it into words, but it was like if this makes sense. It was like subtly powerful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was very subdued,
Yeah,
but god damn, it told a good story.
yeah, and it's just the payoff, and then what really just like imagine you're like I'm empathetic, you're empathetic, so we put ourselves in Jonah's place. You get accosted in a tunnel by some wolves or old boys for lack of better words, and your friend runs away, leaves you there. You seemingly get raped,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next day you call it to your friend and he ignores you from then on.
Mm-hmm.
So not only were you beaten up and raped, you lost your best friend. Like, God, like, how could anyone not watch this movie and not have tears in their eyes? Like, God. Like,
And then, I have to give Corey kudos too for that end part. Once the reveal happens and you find out that Jonah's dead,
mm-hmm.
Corey fully went into that emotion.
Oh, yeah, yeah, which was cool. I could
Mm-hmm.
have done without him crying on the shoulder of Cliche Closet Case.
Yeah, but
I don't think he really deserved any kind of redemption arc.
he didn't.
Well, he kind of had tears in his eyes, too, and kind of nodded like, yeah, I know, I know.
Well, yeah, and it's to me it was just, as much of a dick as he was,
Mm-hmm.
he's still human.
Yeah, but if you were beaten up as unmercifully as I was
Oh,
growing up, you can't really make them. You can't humanize your bully.
I know.
So that's for me. I have that personal prejudice there. I don't
Yes.
like when bullies are humanized
Mm-hmm.
because if you spend most of your existence being a fucking asshole
Mm-hmm.
and abusive and with obvious fucking mental issues,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to forgive you,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude. It's been like decades later, and I still haven't forgiven the people that did what they did to me.
Mm-hmm.
Nor will I, and because they don't deserve that. But I
Mm-hmm.
was beaten up in a tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
So, just seeing that scene it was really hard. Like, the movie was
Mm.
really hard. If you were, like I said, I'm gonna beat this dead horse. If you were beaten up, this movie's really, really fucking hard to watch. It was like seeing Australian Philip, like I said, going to high school. Even
Mm-hmm.
down to like the little things. I was like, damn, like, who got in my head and took pieces of my fucking past out and then put them on the screen for me to watch? Like, ha ha ha. Grown up Philip. Suffer.
Um,
Ugh.
I wasn't a huge fan of the love interest,
Yeah, I could have done without that.
but she did serve a good character to develop Corey's character.
Yeah, yeah, that was her entire point. Yeah.
As someone just sitting there being like, just grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
And so I can appreciate that. However, I just kind of wish that I would have had the balls to develop the obvious relationship that Corey and Jonah had underlined.
Yeah, yeah. Like, you got the idea that Jonah was in love with his friend.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a good job of skirting that line,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they were like skipping down the sidewalk or whatever, and loved that part where they were going down the sidewalk and it was flashing back between them now and them as kids.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, younger Jonah was played by the actor's actual little brother,
That makes sense.
so that was really cool.
Yeah, because they looked like kid versions of
Yeah,
them.
they did. They did a
So,
really good job. I thought that was like they did a really good job on casting these kids.
yeah.
Then there's that scene where they fall down together and Corey lands on
Mm-hmm.
top of Jonah, and you get that little like, okay, Jonah is in love with his friend.
Mm-hmm.
So add that to everything. He gets his innocence stolen in a tunnel. He gets beaten up, loses his best friend, and loses like probably his first love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's got to be some all of that together. Like, damn,
Mm-hmm.
that's just damn. Like, just the empath is just like screaming over and over.
Yeah, and while I
Uh,
may not have been beaten up as a kid, I was teased, and
right.
I most certainly went through the perspective of watching your best friend move on to the popular crowd.
A big thing is the running and hiding.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And like adult Philip wants to go back to like that age Philip and be like, okay, here's what we do now.
Yeah.
We know what to do now because we have life experience. So here's how we handle this now. But
And much like Corey said, what if we could change the ending of the story?
yeah, I really liked that whole little dialogue there they had.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and yeah, just fucking good dialogue overall.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like, it felt like they were actually like friends who or once were really close that
Mm-hmm.
drifted apart. Like I said, Gulliver McGrath did an amazing job as Jonah. Like, you felt that he
Yeah.
was like tortured and sad and missed his friend and
And then another one of my favorite parts, as
Mhm.
far as visually, was the scene of the entire wolf pack,
Mhm.
and Rammstein was playing,
Yeah, that was cool.
and they were just wreaking mayhem.
Yeah.
But visually, that was fucking gorgeous.
Yes. Yes. There was a few scenes that I thought were really, really well done. Like, just visually well done. Like, a
Mm-hmm.
good job on making it dark but lit. Good job of walking down the street and having the street behind them being really foggy.
Mm-hmm.
The ambiance in this movie was really well done. From dialogue to performances to scenery to cinematography. It was
Mhm.
really, really well done.
Another one of my favorite moments, and I thought it was just fantastic foreshadowing, was at the very beginning, near the very beginning,
Mhm.
at the skate park where Jonah passes out at the sight of his blood,
Right.
and Corey goes up and puts his ear to his heart.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he can't hear a heartbeat, so
Oh, yeah.
freaks out, give him mouth to mouth, and it's like he's dead already. That's the reason why no heartbeat.
It's weird. Like, I didn't pick up on that. Like, I thought it was just like the little hoax they were playing, or the hoax that Jonah was playing, 'cause that's how he played it off.
Mm-hmm.
That's like you've seen Sixth Sense.
Yes.
Okay, spoiler alert coming for Sixth Sense if you haven't seen it. That's like the like I see dead people line.
Uh-huh.
That's just like they just completely gave the movie away. But like
Uh-huh.
I didn't like when I watched Sixth Sense, I didn't
No.
see that. Good call on that one, yeah. All right, so what was your holy shit moment?
You go first because I had it and I lost
Let me think. I was expecting you to have one.
it.
Like the easy money says that it'd be finding Jonah in the water, but I kind of already knew that happened.
hmm
Uh,
I remember now.
okay, go ahead.
Mine was the reveal of what happened to them as kids.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Because I mean that took a dark movie much to a much darker place.
Yeah, it did. It made it. It put a lot of stuff into context and made me feel even just worse for Jonah. I was
hmm
like, oh, you poor kid. Like, jeez. So, not to. That would be like the darkest holy. I'm gonna go with a more lighter holy shit moment.
hmm
Um, but if I were to go for like a more grim, darker one, that would definitely be it. Now that you say it, but just on the interest of being different, I guess I don't know.
hmm
A lighter one was when he finally like this isn't so much holy shit, just like awesome, I guess. Like it was a holy shit, yay. It was when he finally stood up to the cliche closet case in the convenience
hmm
store and actually just walked out on him. Like he told him
Yeah.
no, and he walked out and he went to find his friend.
hmm
I was like, holy shit, finally, yes, yes,
Right,
awesome.
and the look on Django's face when Corey had stood up to him was just like, what?
Yeah, because clearly no one had ever done that. Because he said himself he was a god there.
hmm
So the ego of having people to boss around and say whatever you or do whatever you
Worship you.
pretty much, yeah, get me a fucking slushy. All right, so any if any mediocre moment.
Uh, Probably just the very ending.
Okay, fair.
Like, I mean, it still ended well, but it was
Mm-hmm.
just kind of, oh, okay.
I mean, I did like the picture of Jonah being on his wall,
Yeah, that was a good
and the fact that
callback.
yeah, and that he looked at it and got tears in his eyes before he put the mask on.
hmm
That was nice. Let me think. I don't know if I can think of it because the ending didn't really bother me. I guess this is just another me nitpicking like I did I think last time. My mediocre moment is an all-encompassing one. Is I don't think the cliche closet case Django got his comeuppance.
hmm
So that was I understand he wasn't written like that, but I wanted as being bullied, I wanted the bully to get some kind of satisfactory conclusion. And we didn't get
hmm
that. For all the build up we spent with him, making him the main antagonist, uh, it just didn't. It wasn't satisfying for me.
hmm
So that was just me nitpicking the writing a little bit, like I did in Sacred Deer, where I thought I wish there had been a bit more, succinct conclusion to his story arc. Okay, again, if any, LOL moment.
Um, Probably the. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of humor in this,
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
but the two friends that were part of the wolf pack,
Oh, the Tweedledum with Tweedledummer.
yes,
Yeah,
just some of their interactions I found very
they
humorous.
were like two boyfriends, if anybody.
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, for
Yeah.
for all the fag bombs that fucking Django dropped, it's like,
hmm
dude, you're like two people in your group that look like they're in love with each other,
hmm
and you're clear. Oh, train number 2 coming. So there's train graphic. Enjoy it. I guess I might have to agree with that because I couldn't think of any other LOL moment because I was so like just absorbed in the story that
hmm
yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. It's gonna have to be them. Just that was because that was the only comic relief we had in this entire movie. Your
hmm
loud ass train. Yeah, it was the only comic relief we had in this entire heavy movie. Mister, we won't watch a heavy movie this time. It won't be the weight of Saturn. Fucking won't. All right, are you down to go through my notes?
Yes, always.
Cool, cool. I said Boys in the Trees, the sequel to The Ritual. Ha! But thank you. Here all night, except not really. I was annoyed because right after I texted you about what this movie, I was like, this is being what I was afraid it was going to be. Because I hate watching movies about bullies. I hate it
hmm
for the reasons that I've described. I said, this is great. We have 2 hours of a closeted blonde bully douche and his pussy friends.
hmm
I was not looking forward to it. I thought it was kind of amusing when Corey was talking to his would-be girlfriend
hmm
in the beginning when they're walking through the cemetery, and he asked her to enlighten him on Halloween, and she whispered some stuff in his ear. I said she really didn't answer his question. You know, she just kind of gave a really esoteric answer.
Although I do really like the rhyme or whatever that she had said to him.
Yeah, yeah.
It was very well written.
Here's some quotes that I wrote down from the movie from Jonah. Let's see if I can read them in my messy writing in the dark. He says, "When you get older, scary things aren't fun anymore. They're just scary."
Hmm.
Love that line. Oh, and this isn't really a quote. This is kind of a quote, sort of. He's talking about the price you pay to grow up.
Hmm.
Where you price, pretty much the price you pay is forgetting who you are.
Yeah.
And he says that price is why I don't ever want to grow up. And I wrote down truth in big letters.
Hmm.
I was like, yes. Probably one of my favorite quotes is, "Sometimes you have to pull back a piece of reality when it gets in the way."
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah, that was very good.
it's probably my favorite quote. And then after I wrote, "This kid is full of one-liners." And then, of course, the one they referenced a couple times, when Jonah says most people aren't scared of heights.
They're scared they're going to jump.
Yeah, it's like, and then he says most people aren't scared of heights, scared of falling. Corey asks, "What are they scared of?" And then Jonah says they're scared they're going to jump. I was
Hmm.
like, nice. Not as good as the reality line, which is my favorite. Says something to the extent of growing up as like a toxin that takes over.
Hmm.
Like, I just liked all the anti-grow up stuff because I'm very much entrenched in that. I said the wolves analogy and the visuals were an A+. Very well done. I said it was interesting. We had a sheep in wolf's clothing being chased by wolves.
Hmm.
I thought that was I really like the analogy of the sheep and the wolves and like what it all meant. Like, as we said, this is really well told. I do like that they cast Jonah looking so much younger, but still assumingly being the same age,
Hmm.
which fit in with the overall story they were telling.
Yeah.
Oh, then when Jonah says people know when they're going to die, he mentioned that at one point. And I was like, that's foreshadowing to some degree. And then
Hmm.
we saw Mr. White Suit a few times, and that's when I was kind of like. And then I said to myself, it's like either a cliche closet case kills him, or kills them both, like just because he can't control his temper. Because that's where I thought it was going to go.
Hmm.
I thought he was going to just lose his temper, and because the guy he loved was no longer in his group and was with his former best friend, and he was just going to do something that would accidentally kill them both. And these
Hmm.
people were like, when he saw his dog, I thought for sure that was foreshadowing that he was going to die as well. But and again, it was just Halloween, and we know the thing about Halloween when the dead come to life for one night. So I did like the line when Corey stood up to Django and made fun of him for possibly being gay. And he says, "What if I was? Would you still be my friend?"
Yes.
Great fucking line. Great fucking line.
And a great way to stand up to him.
Yeah, yeah. That lady playing guitar or whatever and singing was awesome. Then we had the picture of Jonah at the wake, which I thought was a nice touch.
To go back to the woman, I can't remember her name,
Mm-hmm.
but I read this that she doesn't speak Spanish.
Oh, okay.
So she had to go and rewrite her song to completely translate it to Spanish.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
Hmm.
I did like the line that Jonah said about Mr. Whitesuit. First time you meet him, you don't remember. The second time, you never forget. He
Yes.
says you meet him twice.
That was just good. Another good way to tell the tale.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then during after the whole rape scene, I kind of like was thinking on it, and I was like, isn't it funny how like rapists like that are the ones who use the word fag?
Uh-huh.
Isn't that interesting? Don't you think? I wrote quite a bit about what we talked about him losing his friend and his innocence and just like just being picked on for who he was, pretty much.
Hmm. And dealing with the death of a parent.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, his mom died. Like, it's amazing he made it that long. Not to sound like morbid, but God,
Hmm.
yeah, good call. Then I wrote in giant letters, "Lighter movie my ass."
Yeah.
We're close to the end then. After the whole like tunnel scene, I'm like, ugh. And then of course I wrote, "Yep, he was dead all along and just came back on All Hallows Eve just to see his friend one more time." And then that's when I started getting tears in my eyes because I was like, God,
And also to change his friend's life.
yeah, 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 and to have like some closure.
Hmm.
Like it was just like when you find out what happened and what happened to him and what he'd been through and then what happened, it's just like the whole movie just like it's so much like heavier.
And again, like that scene where Jonah disappears and Corey realizes that it's his body in the water.
Yeah. Yep.
Kudos again to the actor that played Corey for
Hmm.
the emotion that he put in his reaction
Oh yeah, the last
and
5 minutes with him were great.
his phone call to his
Oh,
dad.
that was really good too. Yeah. And then my very last note before I wrote the cast and crew stuff was, well, that was sad as fuck. Yep. So that is the end of Philip's notes. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or are you good to go to final thoughts?
Good to go.
All right, let's go.
The last thing I have to say is just, despite how sad this movie was,
Mm-hmm.
it I just really enjoyed this one.
Oh,
It
definitely, definitely.
did such a good job at telling the tale.
It was, yeah. I just, ugh, yeah. I don't know what else to add that I haven't already said. Like it was just like,
And I guess it's good that we did not watch this on the 31 Days of Horror because I'm not sure if I would classify. Yeah, this is
yeah,
horror.
no. It had, yeah, it had the Halloween elements, but other than that, it was just a really sad drama.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's probably good that we waited on this one.
But yeah, watch it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I guess my final thoughts are mirroring TJ's. It was sad, but it was really really good. Definite diamond in the rough.
Hmm.
And yeah, I can't think of anything else to say that I haven't already said. It was just, in a word, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And that is probably that's the one word I will just, if I just use one word to describe it, it would be that. From acting to cinematography to editing to lighting to direction to the story to the elements of the story to telling the story with other stories and having it all tie in
Hmm.
together and weave in and around each other so well.
Music.
The music was fucking wonderful. It was like music was like flashback to the mid to late 90s. It was great.
Hmm.
Like just yeah, the use of, and there really wasn't so much of a score. It was more like soundtrack based,
Hmm.
and it was beautiful. Just in a word, it was beautiful. I would recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it. I guess spoilers are now done. Come back if you skip to the spoiler tag. I could easily say that we agree. If you were thinking about seeing this movie, see this movie.
Yes.
It's a tough watch, especially if you can identify with the subject matter, but it's worth the watch. Well, that wraps up this episode. Thank you for listening. Tell us what you thought of the movie in the comments below. If you saw it, what did you think? Did it affect you as profoundly as it did us? If you liked the video, please tick the like box. Share it with your friends or cool people who might dig the podcast. And please subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the newest content. Speaking of, our next podcast will be on the movie Tragedy Girls, a movie that's been on our radar for a while now, and we're finally going to get to it.
Yay.
Yay! And it better not fucking make me cry or make me want to just eat a fucking pint of ice cream and weep,
Boo.
because Mother, Sacred Deer, Boys in the Trees, back to back to back. It's been a very trying emotional
Yeah.
few weeks. And then having to relive it in the edits. Ugh. All right. So until then, once again, my name is Philip,
And I'm TJ.
and we'll be back next week to talk about the movie Tragedy Girls. Goodbye.
Bye.